All right, we are live. What's up, Paul?
What's going on? I'm back again. We're on the two-peat. So before it was, hey, I was the most person, and I was like, that's ever been on your show. And I was like, let's just do it again.
Yeah,
It's
next
just the
day.
next day. We're vibing, and now we're here.
Yeah. So anybody who's watching, I did an awesome interview with Paul yesterday, which will go live tomorrow.
Mhm.
And boy, if you haven't backed Project Analysis episode 6, it is live right now on Kickstarter. He's killing it right now. Let's keep the momentum going. So get up there and check it out. But we're just waiting on Jimmy. He should be on any moment. He did confirm. So I know Will is in the chat. Will, he did confirm, bro. So we'll give him a few minutes here. And man, I can't wait to have him on. Super excited to talk to Jimmy. I love talking to Jimmy. If you're not familiar with his work, man, I mean, he's currently on Deadly Tales of Gunslinger, which has been a lot of fun, man. So we got Deadly Tales. As you know, him and his wife Amanda killed it on Power Girl. I mean, they're very well known for Power Girl. I actually have some Harley Quinn stuff signed, but it's in another box, and I just couldn't get to it in time. But yeah, freaking phenomenal. And then right now, that just hit shelves 2 weeks ago is Pop Kill, which is by Jimmy as well, and he's working with Mad Cave on this title. So check that out.
Mad Cave's coming up. Mad Cave got a lot of things. They got my daughter, she's young and she's not reading yet, but I got the Encanto they're having all the movies, and they're having these nice little trade paperbacks that you can have, and they're doing it right. They're $9.99. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. Flash Gordon. I'm happy they're building, and it looks like they're becoming a force, and they do a lot of the conventions. They're at Baltimore. I feel like that's a big part of it. Like, I feel like even if it was a small booth for these medium-sized companies to be at a lot of these conventions, it really would make a big impact. And I feel like that's why part of it of why Mad Cave is there. They're everywhere I go, they're there, and they got a big setup.
No, 100%, man, 100%. They are killing it right now. They've done a really good job of building a business model where they could start at a very young age. So they have Maverick, and then they have, I can't remember the other one that they have, Imprint, that they use for small children. Then Maverick is kind of that junior high age. And then they obviously have Mad Cave. And then they just worked out a deal with Joe Quesada on Amazing Comics to help publish and distribute that. And you're going to see Joe Quesada and Amazing Comics explode as well. So that's coming. But yeah, they're doing a bunch of stuff. They also have,
it's called
Paper Cuts, yeah. And then they have, Paper Cuts is the young one, yeah. And then they have Nakama, I can't remember, but it's their line where they're bringing over a bunch of manga. So they have, I think, their first 4 titles that are about to launch too. So yeah, they are touching a little bit of everything. Mad Cave is the publisher that everyone should be watching closely. In addition to that, like you mentioned, man, they got some, like Flash Gordon by Jeremy Adams is freaking phenomenal. What was the other one? Dick Tracy has been a lot of fun as well.
Dick Tracy was big, man. People forgot on how big he was. I thought he was public domain, and he's not. And then, that movie, as much as people rig on it, that was a very popular movie that a lot of people watched. That was a movie I watched all the time as a kid too, So.
Yep, 100%, man. 100%. So yeah, no, they're killing it right now. They're doing a great job. So yeah, I mean, I love Mad Cave. I've had Mark London on. I've had all the leadership on a few times. Mark is actually going to come on again in another week, I think, because he has a whole, he's a writer and creator himself. That's how actually Mad Cave started, and he has an entire line right now that has been blowing up as well. So yeah, good stuff coming from everywhere, man.
Yeah, Massive was similar too. It came from creators. I feel like that's really where it works. It's like, you could see the ones that are IP farms, and you see the ones that are, just trying to build a comic book business. And it's 100%. Good to license. Like, I like seeing different things being licensed that maybe wouldn't be licensed in the right hands. Like, a great example is, Transformers. What they're doing with Transformers has been absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah. And, Skybound.
No one bought a Transformers book the way they're buying them now. My opinion, of course, earlier is earlier, but I feel like it's reinventing itself, and I feel like it's really going to amplify as they do one of those movies. I think they are going to do a G.I. Joe Transformers movie.
It's in the works as far as I have read. I mean, I don't know when they'll start going after it, but yeah, for sure they have been doing really well, man.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. And then WonderCon this weekend. WonderCon, it's a big convention in Anaheim, so I'm excited to be there. I met you there a couple times.
Couple times. Yep. I mean, that was one I went to every single year. And, unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, I'm glad I moved to Texas because I'm closer to my grandkids, but I do miss WonderCon. I actually prefer, this is going to sound crazy. And although last year wasn't great, but I actually prefer WonderCon more than San Diego, only because it's easy to get in, easy to get out. San Diego's awesome, but after 2 days, you're exhausted. I don't know how you do it, having a booth and just selling constantly. It's exhausting, man. But that's why you end up staying an extra few days with the wife and kind of chill. You almost need that just to unwind from all the craziness and the traffic, man.
Oh yeah, there's certain conventions where I go to grind. Meaning like C2E2, I'm showing up that morning after a 12-hour drive and I'm gonna sell for 10 hours. You know what I mean? But like WonderCon, yeah, I go there a couple extra days. I hang out in San Diego and then I'll go drive up. And I love WonderCon is the sister con to San Diego. So it's no shots fired. It's his preferred convention. Yep. I personally love San Diego. A city. C2E2 does it really well too, like that. Like the city, or at least the area around the convention, is involved.
Yeah. No, I love, like, when you leave San Diego Comic-Con, that whole street is completely full with all kinds of other publishers. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
There's a lot of pop-up shops.
For sure.
There's different things that you can do that don't even have to do with the convention, and you get the vibe.
Yeah.
It's a lottery system, for those tickets, because you got Robert Downey Jr. and then last year, and then this year's Fantastic Four. So they're going to probably do a big premiere there. And I love the light show they did last year. They did a big robot light show, like with the robots that like could just somehow.
Yeah.
And it was insane. I called it an early day. I think it was Saturday. And me and my wife were just sitting on the balcony because we stay across the water from San Diego. And I see just all these things, this light show, like Galacticus, Wolverine. I'm like, yo, what is this? I think they're going to bring that. And I feel like that's what the MCU needs, and stuff like that. Like, if you're going to premiere in Hall H and do things like that, like, you need to have a big spectacle that gets everybody involved. And Deadpool and Wolverine was the movie of last year, in my opinion.
For sure.
The most impact.
Yeah, no, fully agree.
And Superman 2, I think, is around the same time in July. But I think Marvel, especially with Deadpool and Wolverine last year, I feel like they're going to have a similar setup, if not a similar deal, to do something similar. Because at the end of the light show, it showed like Fantastic Four Galacticus. Like, that's what they're teasing that. So I'm assuming that it'll be this year, it'll be Galacticus that, and then the tease will be like Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Like at the end. I loved it, and I can't wait to be back in San Diego. Finally got that corner booth. And
dude, that's gonna be dope, man, to get that booth.
Yeah, it's crazy because small press, you have to send in your stuff every year.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a new copyrighted book of that year or the year before, they don't even accept you. And then, and then they have to accept you based on your book. And I'm grateful enough where I made a relationship with these guys and they like the books. And thankfully, I'm putting out a lot of content where I send in like 2 or 3. So it's just like, here, look, they're sending in 1 book. Here's 2 amazing books. And I asked the team and I said, hey, like, can you, is there room? And he's like, everyone asks for the corner, which every convention, everybody does ask for the corner if they're making puzzle pieces or if they're making, whatever. And I'm happy I got it. And I'm ready to make an impact. And I'm ready to make an impact this week, man. I think the WonderCon, it was on Easter, so. Oh, what's up? Hello.
Jimmy. Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry about that. My browser was not grabbing this. So
you're good, Jimmy. You're good. It's always great to have you, my friend. How are you today?
Good, man. Just tired from I was at Planet Comic-Con all weekend in Kansas City, so we just got back like, I don't know, 1 a.m. last night, and
yikes.
As usual, catching up all day just on emails I ignored for 4 days. But it was a great show. I mean, the show, if you've never been, that show is one of the best Comic Cons in the States, man.
Was it a 3-day show, a 4-day show?
It's a 3-day show. They had just my row. We had like Adam Hughes, Dan Panosian. We had Doug Mankey, Joe Quesada. It was just a lot of heavy hitters in that one. It was fun.
Heavy hitter row. That's what that is right there, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Did you drive, or was Amanda with you too?
No, it's just a little bit over 2 hours from Clearwater. Amanda always comes with me, so that's we're a team. It was 2 hour flight. If I drove it, it would have been, I don't know, 12 hours, 15 hours.
Not happening, huh?
No, I don't. I like driving, but that's long, and I'd be stopping for meals, and I'd be crashing. It's easy to get on a plane and get off the plane.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Well, as always, man, we want to be respectful of your time. Thank you for joining, man. Can't wait to talk about your current Kickstarter right now, Painkiller Jane and GI Zombie. Jimmy, have you met Paul before? I'm sure you have at cons. He's at every con.
He has that face, that baby face I've seen before, but I don't know if I've met you.
Funny. We just you just followed me on Twitter a week ago, and then Tommy asked me to be a part of this, and I'm like, I posted the other day. I picked up all the Gunslinger books. So I was telling everyone to get the new Gunslinger series. It's a Spawn book. It's $2.99. A lot of people had a problem that Gunslinger's just in the future, so the Western is where he's at now, and you're finally getting the adventures that you're looking for. And I like the mix up of what it's been doing, and I like even the latest issue, that art style that was in the latest issue. I really like.
Yeah, we have two issues by Chad. It's a double part of what I wrote just for him to do, and then we have Patrick Reynolds back. After that, I'm actually proofing the art on issue 6 right now. I kind of, he draws the book, and then I get the book again, and I look at the script, and I'm like saying, do I need to say this, or is the art saying everything I needed to say? It is an interesting book because you'll notice there'll be whole pages of hardly any dialogue at all and stuff like that. And I just figure, I figure that it kind of like you don't want to overstate. And I feel like the modern Gunslinger book, is like boom in your face kind of stuff. And I figured this should have a different tone to it. This is the beginning of when he's learning what his powers are, and it should be a little nerve-wracking for not only the reader but for him as well. It shouldn't rush right into being this super badass guy. He's got to earn it a little bit in this book.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody, it's in stores right now. Issue 4 just dropped, and issue 4 is a banger. If you're not reading this and you're a Spawn fan, what's wrong with you, man? Get out there and check it out. I think you're going to really dig it. It's certainly a lot different from what we get from the Spawn universe normally, which I kind of like. And I love that whole Western. I mean, you're with Jonah Hex and everything you did over there. I would expect nothing less, Jimmy, from you.
Yeah, I think that's why Todd and Thomas kind of tracked me down, and Todd was just like, I need you on this for a while. Don't you go running off, like do this book for years. And I'm like, I'm in, man. I said, we have a gigantic Bible for the characters, so we're working through that. And then I have people writing me, hey, if this is that guy, who is that guy? And all of that gets answered, all of that gets figured out. I could have dumped an information dump for the first issue, but it's kind of more fun to discover this stuff as the character discovers it. But as I tell people who are coming up to me at the con this past weekend, I'm like, let it unravel, man. It'll make sense to you, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what's going on, and it'll make sense. Why would we do that to you guys? But Todd has a plan, man. He's a man with a plan,
Yeah.
One of the things I do every year is I get a lot of people issue number 1s for Christmas. And one of the books I gave out was, your Gunslinger book that I gave out to everyone. And people have been really enjoying it. So
it's definitely, if you don't read the Gunslinger, it's got stuff in it that you're like, what the hell is going on? It all gets figured out. And if you read the regular book, you can kind of figure out some of the stuff in it. But I wanted to take the point of view of Tobias, like finding as he's discovering this stuff, you're discovering it with him, rather than playing the all-knowing eye. I mean, we do have the narration, like the Modern Gunslinger, where the narration refers to it as Gunslinger does this and Gunslinger does that, and that's what Todd set up. But my book also will have a third-person narration, kind of pulling back and saying, okay, but this is what's happening. Because the narrator, the godlike person describing what the gunslinger is feeling, obviously, is like something Todd set up, and it makes sense. But it's not beneficial, I think, to have so many voices over what the characters do. Sometimes the art has to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I think in this one, I like. It's funny because I just said Patrick. I just sent them. I saw a panel where a kid is so afraid he's smiling, and I said that works in a movie.
Yeah.
But when you have a comic where the kid is so nervous he's smiling, he looks like he's laughing like he's crazy. And he just sent me an email saying, yeah, but when a kid's really scared, they kind of laugh. That's what I was going for. And I'm like, yeah, it's great if I have a soundtrack and we have some music and we have this intense thing where he's crying, laughing, and then he starts crying. But it's a scene where his mom and dad are getting ripped to shreds by wolves, and I just felt like, okay, that expression needs to go the other way around.
Yeah.
But I totally get what it is when kids are really nervous. They, we see people do this, like they get like hurt or in an accident and they're smiling.
Yeah.
And we're like, are you
Shock.
crazy? And then you realize it's panic. Like it's just they don't know what to do. But that's really hard to get across in a comic book,
yeah, and people will take it literal and be like, "Oh, he's a demon,"
Yeah.
Like,
right? Like,
that.
oh, like, hey, look,
right?
mom and dad deserve that shit, And
Yeah.
so that it is funny because there's so many nuances in doing comics. Like you really have to. I probably am one of the biggest pain in the asses to editors because I write the book, I get the art, I look at the art again, I rewrite the book, I want to see the final lettering to make sure it makes sense, and I'm even a bit of a critique for the colorist too, or the letter placement where the lettering is. I know I drive them crazy, but I feel like I got to live with these books for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I also think if somebody's paying, thank God it's only $2.99. Thank you, Todd. If they're paying $2.99, I feel like I got to give them the best I got every month. So,
you can grab 6 Spawn books and get it for like under $20. You can't beat that, And I feel like they're all, great books that are coming out. And I like that he's expanding the line. And I like that they're getting the story because I at least think out of all the Spawn books, this is one that people really wanted was that Western.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when they came up to me in New York and asked me about it because I never thought I'd be like a guy writing for Spawn or any of the Spawn titles. But then it made complete sense when they were telling me what the gig was, and I was like, okay, I know what you're looking for, and and I said, it's they wanted me to do my own thing, so that's why it has a different beat to the book. It definitely is not. If you read the books back to back, one looks like it's kinetic energy, and mine looks like like clouds of dust are gonna kick by your feet, but it's on purpose, and I'm just so happy to have the gig. I love writing this book, and even editing it and harassing everybody is still fun to me.
And I think you said it on his podcast previously, but I know I listened to when you were talking about it that you're like, everyone be patient, and it did. I feel like it really is, picking up to where it is, and I really like where the story's going. So
yeah, I think by issue 12, like a lot of stuff is kind of answered, but I'm not, So there's like the idea that this book is, I'm writing it, and then at some point in the future, this character goes off to the future. So like, why should you be interested in a character if you know he's just going to survive later on into the future, right? It's sort of like every movie where they go back and you do the story, like. But I looked at it as like, well, why should I care about James Bond if I know every movie he's going to live, except for the last one, right? But so it's up to me to make this world unique and interesting, and there's more, and there's actually things at stake that The only thing I have to do every month is read Todd's new book and go, oh my God. And so that's that. And all right, I better do that. I better run and change that one,
Yeah.
but it's been fun. And like I said, man, once they start coming out, they come out fast. I've been working on it for the past 2 years, and now I'm like at this con, I had everybody bringing me all 4 issues. Like everyone had all 4, and it was like that and Pop Kill. It's all I got all weekend. I was like, yeah. I got a lot of those. I signed a lot of those this weekend. So it was kind of a fun con just to see what people have been picking up. And as someone said to me, "Oh, I thought you weren't working for the past year and a half," and I was like, "Yeah, man,
that hurts."
That's how it goes, though, man. You work and then it all comes out like in the same time.
Yeah.
I got like 2 other things coming out, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, it looks like I just did them all last week or something," But
Spawn fans are like so detailed when it comes to the universe, and because it's a smaller fan base, but it's a very dedicated fan. And we've had you on with Ty and Mark and some of the other, and they're like, he was called this and this happened in 174 and 170. Like they go through the details, Jimmy. So you got a lot of help out there if you need it, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. They actually, when I did your show last, they actually pointed out 1 or 2 things. I went into the script and I moved around a little bit because I was like, okay, they noticed it. So, if it was all in my head, it would be easier, but I'm trying to pull it out of Todd's,
Yeah.
So it's that, and that's the gig. So it's a good gig.
And that's a head that has a lot of things going on at one time too.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes, he does. And he definitely has something to say. When he calls me, I know we're going to talk about a whole scene or something. There's going to be some breakdown. He's a guy that calls when things are good too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, because my old people, Marvel DC people usually call you when things are bad.
Yeah.
Nobody calls you and says, "Hey, you're doing great." You don't get those. You don't get those good boy pats on the back. It's usually like, "What did you say on the internet yesterday?" And I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Now, you said that you were working on Gunslinger for a while. For your current Kickstarter, how long, what's the process going into that? Do you have a lot of the book finished? Did you plan that out prior? How does that work?
So I have, I'm looking at, because I'm still coloring the second part of this book. So I've been working on this book for around a year and a half with Juan. We've been, it's total story-wise, I think it's 56 or 58 pages, around there. So it's 2 books, and they're like maybe close to 28 to 30 pages each. And I wrote them. He's been drawing them for the past year and a half, and then I've been coloring them, and I'm up to like the last. So I'm on the second issue, halfway through the second issue coloring. I'm trying to do a page a day. I'm working with the Kickstarter to kind of get it. So at the end of the Kickstarter, we have a couple of weeks left. At the end of the Kickstarter, we'll be ready to go right to the printer.
Nice.
The lettering's done, the covers are done, the design's done. It's just the damn coloring by me that's taking its time. And I'm a little bit of a nut, because I'm for my whole career, I've been working with colorists and telling them, "Hey, I need time of day. I need this to make sense." And Paul Mounts can wax poetic about, and Alex Sinclair can wax poetic about how I go in and I say, "You know what? It's a little later in the day, so the shadows should be longer on the ground. I'll drive them crazy." Okay, I will. So now I'm coloring my own stuff, and I'm like, okay, I can't be a slacker on this. So I'm overthinking. It's funny because when the only other thing I covered was a Trigger Girl thing, and somebody noticed in the book that at one point the character has her hand in blood, and they noticed later on in the book everywhere she put her hand there was a blood on a staircase handle and a glass and stuff, and nobody is supposed to ever notice that crap. But my sick brain was like, she's walking through this thing, she didn't wash her hands from this scene to that scene, the blood is getting on stuff as she goes along. There's a railing she goes up, and it's a non-shot. It's just like there, but you see the hand every like 30 steps on the the bloody print on this railing, and I'm like, and my buddy's like, "You're out of your mind," and I'm like, "Yes." I said, "I know, but what are you gonna do?"
But I think that's veteran status. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome that you're doing stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people put little Easter eggs in. That's like some next level detail.
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Let me tell you, because when somebody's in another country, like Amanda will help me figure out all the language stuff and how the signs are, because we want to do it. And if you ever read any of our Harley Quinn, there was actually in the 5 years of those books, they were map accurate to Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Nice.
So when they would drive somewhere, it was actually a certain highway. And if they went to, and the joke is, if you live in Brooklyn and read that book, you're laughing out loud at the stupid things we did because it, but it also helps ground what's going on in the books, right? We know where it is. We know the limitation of the surrounding. And therefore, that helps us tell the story in a way where we just don't. A lot of comics now, they'll do whole pages with blank backgrounds and two characters talking, and we never do that because, like, the Kirby rule and the old comic rule, the Frazetta and the Al Williamsons, were like always an establishing shot. We need to know where they are. Yeah. But I'll see books that's 4 pages of 2 people talking or no background, and it gets me nuts because I'm like, okay, but we need to pull the camera back a little bit. I want to see where they are in the room. They can't just be 2 people there, and I realize it's like, and Amanda, when she draws, it's like, not only is somebody walking a dog in the background, but the next panel, the dog's peeing, the third panel, the dog's running around in circles, right? She's figuring out the time that the dialogue goes by. And, it's that kind of stuff that it's in the back. Amanda calls it, the term is called chicken fat. So we have the main story, what's going on here, and then the background has a life of its own. So with Harley, we always had like 3 or 4 different characters. So their movements were always synchronized with the timing of what's going on in the foreground. Yeah. It's not for you to overly indulge in unless you get thrown in jail with one comic and you're looking at it for 5 years, right? And you'll start noticing all that stuff. But I think that came from, for Amanda, it came from Mad Magazine, always having, when they did the movie stuff, they always had stuff going on in the background that was either funny or weird or just storytelling stuff. And it's something that she's always done. And it's part of the lost art of comics in a way, because a lot of books now, it's just like, here's a city, there's a guy punching the other guy through a building, and then there's some cops, but there's no continuity of place, right? Yeah. It could be, what Amanda, when she did Silk Spectre, let's say, for the the Watchmen books, the later ones, what did they call them? After Watchmen, or what were they called? I can't even think of
DC stuff.
Yeah, the newer Watchmen books. Remember when everybody did those Watchmen books afterwards? She did a Silk Spectre one.
Something.
Yeah, whatever it may be. She did this. So she wrote and drew the Silk Spectre one. She wrote it with Darwin Cook, but when she drew the book, she figured out from the original Watchmen book what Silk Spectre's house was, and she did a diagram, so she knew living room was downstairs. You walked in through this way, and then when Silk Spectre was in the 60s, she talked to people that were in the 60s in San Francisco to get the layouts of what the stores look like. So when Dave Gibbons saw the book that Amanda did, he went up to her and he said, "You worked hard on this." He goes, "You were accurate as hell." And he goes, he goes, "You went over the top." He goes, "But I noticed you took my stuff and figured out the dimensions of the rooms and everything to keep it accurate to everything." And she said, "Yeah." She goes, "If I'm going to do a story about your characters, I have to make sure it's exactly what that was." And, again, it's part insanity, but it's part of what we do too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Incredible. Well, Jimmy, let's jump into Painkiller Jane and GI Zombie. Can you give fans that aren't familiar with paper films a little bit of a background, how that started? And if you're not following Jimmy or paper films, I mean, they produce a lot a lot of stuff. And it's absolutely incredible. If you want to give us a little bit of background, and then I'll share the screen so we could go through your Kickstarter.
Sure. Paper films. I mean, it's basically when you're a freelance artist, you want to have a company name. So my company pays Amanda and I. It's not like we get our freelance checks and throw them in the bank. We have a company that protects us if there's any liability, if there's anything like that. So my accountant was like, create a company, which was Paper Films. And I figured, well, that's a good comic company name, since I feel like comics are like paper films. Like we tell these stories. And it's just me and Amanda, Patrick Wedge, who works with me. And then it's whoever is working with me on projects. Pretty much everybody's involved. But it's not a big publishing company. We do like a couple of projects a year. We babysit these things. They're probably over fussed with, and everything from paper stock to varnish to everything. But we're like a boutique publishing. We kind of do only a couple of things a year. Painkiller Jane is one of the ones that ever since Joe and I did Ash and Painkiller Jane would event in the 90s. Jane was the book that I kept writing even through the 2000s and so on and so forth. I've always worked on that character, and the only way I put her out right now is through the Kickstarters. I did have her at Dynamite for a year or two, and then we had her at Marvel for a year or two with their with their creator line. But both of those were a little constricting for me because they didn't want nudity in the book and they didn't want any excessive violence. And I was like, this is a comic that has nudity. This is a comic that's violent. This is a comic that does shit that's so over the top. Even with the new Kickstarter, like I do mature audience content sometimes. And when I do, I don't want to have the limitations. I understand limitations. Like right now, we're working on Harley Quinn Elvira, right? That's for Dynamite. And there's limitations because Cassandra is looking at it. DC's looking at it. They're telling us you can't do that. That's ridiculous. So with Paper Films, it's sort of like I write it as exactly how I see it. And that's exactly how Juan, and on this one, Juan is just drawing exactly what I'm writing. And there's sex scenes and there's all this crazy stuff in it. It's excessively violent at times. And it's just me making the comic that I want to make. And I'm not worrying so much about the amount of audience I have, right? All I need is 1,000 people to make my Kickstarter perfect, right? Everyone gets paid. I even get some profit for the artists and stuff like that, and everyone gets their books. I need 1,000 people backing each one, and it's work. You guys know it's work, right? Because I'll have 1,000 people back one, and then the next one it's like 400 people. You don't, it's not. I do have my diehards, and they're in the first day or two. They back everything we do. But it is a place where we go to do the comics the way we see them, not worrying about age limitations or story limitations or art limitations. Again, I'm not a big fan of censored anything, to be honest with you, because I feel like music and art and stuff like that, nobody goes to a museum and covers up statues and stuff like that. I don't, and unless it's hardcore sex, which my books are not hardcore sex, it's mostly just nudity and stuff like that. And it's just a scene or two. I try to make sense of it. I don't just like throw a pair of boobs on panel 4 because it looks good, But I worry about this world and censorship and people trying to control everything all the time. And it seems like we have 2 steps forward and 10 steps back every time I'm looking, So with this Kickstarter, if we want to, I guess we can segue.
Pull it up right now.
Yeah, man.
And the last time you put this on Kickstarter was at 2023, right? That was the last time you did Painkiller
Jane. Painkiller Jane. I do like one a year with Jane, and this one is like a team. I actually, if you scroll down, it's like I did the Marvel Comics team up look for the comic book. I even have it looking worn, like it looks like an old Marvel comic. I actually talked to Marvel Comics and asked, "Can I use the team up?" And they said, "We don't own the words team up." but
you never know though, right, Jimmy? You never know, because even superhero, right? There was this big thing that happened 2-3 years ago where they went to court, and obviously superhero, you can't own superhero. I mean, that's
right. I just figured I'd ask because my buddies all work there, right? So I said, can I use that? And they're like, yeah, who cares, Okay, but anyway, this is so it's one big story, but it's done in 2 comics. GI Zombie, if anybody doesn't know, it was a comic I did for DC with Justin Gray and Scott Hampton, and we did it in it was maybe like 5-6 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago. We did it at DC. It went to like 8 issues total. That was all it was supposed to be. It was a limited series. But it was a deal at DC that eventually I can get the rights reversion back. And awesome. they're terrific to deal with that way. And like I always tell every creator, get a good lawyer, because these things are help you. And I got the rights back, so I figured, why not put the character we created in a book I created and have some fun with it. And it's GI Zombie is he's a military guy that's been alive since World War I, World War II. He cannot die. He's a bit of a wise ass. He's kind of fun because he has an appetite. If he doesn't eat somebody in like 3 days, he goes like full on zombie mode. He just becomes unbearable to deal with until he eats something. And then Jane, I have a story where him and Jane meet up. There's a plane crash, and they find an island. Let's just say this covers Jeffrey Epstein's island pretty well.
When I was going through it, Jimmy, that's the first thing I thought it was, the Epstein Island. When I was going through the down here, you have a whole blurb about it. I was like, I wonder if he thought that. Yeah, no, I because I was like, all right, it's fascinating, right? That whole thing's fascinating because we can't believe the current administration has created a world in the last 4 or 5 years, or whatever, 8-10 years, where we trust nothing, where we don't believe anything anymore. And they did a good job, because that's how you control the public, by making them believe nothing anymore, right? So we hear Epstein Island. Did the guy hang himself? Did somebody kill him before he talked? There's a list of people that went on that island with this stuff going on that island. Do we believe that list? No. And then we're going to release the list, but there's certain names missing because we're protecting them. I'm like, well, what are we protecting? Anyway, all that stuff is all crazy, but it was in the back of my mind when I was trying to think of, well, the thing with Epstein was, of course, an island of sex and all that kind of stuff. Right. Mine is a little more weapons and it kind of covers everything. But that's not the main story, right? The main story is the 2 characters bonding. And thank you about the covers. That's Moritat did the red one, and Scott Hampton, who drew the original GI Zombie series, did the one with them on the rock with the plane in the background. And Scott's famous for Batman and a whole bunch of books, fables and stuff like that he's done over the years. So I wrote these 2 things, and we've been working on them forever. I think if you scroll down, there's some art from the interior of the books, and we're offering them as 2 comics, because I did a thing on X asking people if they'd like to have 1 trade or 2 separate comics, and most people said they want 2 separate comics. That's wild. Trades I feel like have become so popular, and you do a lot of trades with paper films too, but. That's interesting that the public, that's what they asked for. I mean, I'm glad. I love floppies, so I'm good with it. Yeah, that's it. People said they want the floppies because they want to CGC them and they want to do that stuff. So I'm like, give the people what they want.
Like, now hearing like how your writing process goes and how in depth you are with it. Now, like noticing the blood with the water, it's just it's really next level. And I'm happy you opened my eye to. Well, it's it's like when we see a movie, it goes quick. Yeah. Right. But comic books are one of the few things that we can, like a book that we can read at our own pace. And when I was a kid, I would buy a comic, I would read it, and then I would go back and I would look at the pictures. So for me, it was like I would go back and I'd say, when Hulk and the Thing were fighting, I would look at the building, how big the building was, or look at how big he punched, and it gave me the information to tell my friend, no, Hulk could destroy the Thing. Let's be honest, and then we'd argue that one out for a while. I remember it was the Hulk versus Superman, and I said, well, Superman can just swoop up the Hulk,
hang out with him in space till he can't breathe, and then throw him into the sun. And I'm like, you know, you can't really. Superman's hard to write because he has too much power. You know.
Yeah.
The best thing to do with Superman is to make him not as powerful. But that's just a pin up in the book that Juan did. That is signed his name on the thing. But this is just a fun pin up that it's not actually in the book, that scene. But these these are some of the pages, just a couple of the pages. I'm coloring, and again, time of day, shading, shadows, all that kind of stuff. None of it should take you away from reading it. Like, that's what I always say. Color is supposed to just move your eye across, that you know exactly where they are. You can feel that it's sunny and it's warm, and like that should be all you should be wearing. And they're on a tropical island. That's all the information you should get, right? And then if you go to the next page, the same thing. Like, they're in a ski chalet. So I did that top panel where you see the snow outside in the mountains.
That's
and
cool.
Then I put that that blur of white, because that would be like the inside lights hitting the window that you wouldn't see outside so clearly.
Yeah,
and
it's a good touch.
Right, it's a little touch, but it's like, while I'm coloring, I always notice, like, okay, yeah, because I wouldn't see right out the window. I'd see like the lights from inside would be reflecting, even if it's a little dark outside. Again, none of that should matter, but now that I pointed out to you guys, it's like, okay, it's a thing,
Yeah.
And even on Jane, like, you'll see her freckles are red. They were drawn, but I took out the black line and just made it color, because obviously freckles are not outlined on people's faces unless they have cancer. But anyway, yeah, these are just a couple of pages. There's one page. I think the next page is what it looks like in black and white.
Yeah.
And this is a scene where G.I. Zombie has to eat.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some bad guys so Jane's starving. So she's cooking a burger, and then as we're jumping between panels, we're comparing it to him eating the dead people around him, the people around him. He eats them while they're alive, by the way.
Oh,
and so Jane just digging into the meat while he's digging in. It's just kind of, I thought it was kind of if it was a movie, it would be cutting back and forth, and everyone in the audience would be laughing and then screaming a little bit. It's ridiculous, but
I love it. I love it.
When I color that, it'll be like two-tone, and then it'll, we'll break it up, and yeah, so much work. But anyway, with the thing we're doing, for anybody overseas, it's $10. You get both books digital, $10.
Yeah,
which is around exactly what digital comics cost. These have more pages, and also as we hit stretch goals, if you back the digital, you're gonna get the other books I put in the stretch goals. So by the time it's done, you get a bunch of books, which is cool. These are the cover images. This is John J. Hill made them look like old Marvel comics, even the little logos on the top left. Or Amanda Connor did the Jane one, and Darwin Cook did the G.I. Zombie one.
That's so cool.
I had that from Darwin before he passed. Had that, and then there's although the accuracy of the airplane that's down in the water is not accurate. Scott threw a plane like he was in the 50s. But I'm not gonna. He painted it, so I'm not gonna have the guy repaint it. It's just like it's kind of cool that it's an old plane. I don't know. If comics covers were 100% accurate, it doesn't happen these days.
Yeah,
this is 80% accurate.
I love the old school stamp for the price point too. When I first started in grocery 30 years ago, we actually had to use the gun, and every single item had to be priced individually. Obviously, everything's digital now in a lot of chains, but I love that nice little touch of the 1999 up there. That's awesome.
Well, there's also the comics code. It's approved by the It's approved by the Creator Code, is what it says. We changed it.
I don't think this would have been approved.
It's called the Creator Code Authority, and we changed that too. John did that. And that's the cover for issue 1.
Yeah.
And we did the lettering like that. And then issue 2 is Moritat, who did All-Star Western with me and everything. And then look, I hope people back it. It's not expensive. We go down the list thing. If we want to go down the price thing, I can go over that. It's kind of so $10 for the 2 digital editions.
Yep.
These are PDFs you get, the high def PDFs. So you, unlike a lot of other places you download comics and they disappear, these are yours.
Yeah.
You download them, there they are. You can look at them on your phone, you can look at them on your iPad or your computer. And then we go one down. I always say that's like the writer's pack. So you get the 2 books and I send you the 2 scripts. Anybody learning how to write, they want to look what a comic script looks like. You get both scripts, and you can compare it to the books you read. And I think it's a good thing to have.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's
That
a
is
great
incredible.
idea.
Yeah.
Who's writing their own comics, man? You're getting the script from Jimmy Palmiotti. And Jimmy, you've been doing this for a little while, so I think that's a good script to have in your back pocket if you're trying to learn how to write comics.
Yeah, it's just it's something I wanted from other people, so I want. And then
huge
for $25 you get 6 books. It's 6 digital books. Now the one all in the bottom right is like a trade book, so it's a pretty big book. And they average around 30-something pages each, the books. They're 2-parters, one shots. And then the one on the right has a bunch of, has 2 or 3 stories in it.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot more books than 6, but it's 6 visually for $25, which is, it's less, it's like $4 and, I don't know, 15 cents a book it comes out to. It's a good deal if you're a digital reader. It's a great deal because it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure people overseas can get stuff. You know what I mean? The digital is really important to me.
Yeah.
And shipping prices now are insane, especially for overseas.
Yeah. So $32 gets you to 2 books, and any stretch goals, which we always have after. But these are the 2 physical books. $32. That includes shipping, and I think that includes shipping, right? I think that's how it works. Patrick's gonna yell at me. That doesn't include shipping.
No, the shipping
I'm pretty sure. That
comes in after, but I don't know if you might have said that.
Ships to anywhere. Yeah, it might be after.
Either way, that's an awesome deal.
Great.
Yeah, and this one is. These are 2, but they're signed by me, so I signed them on the cover for you in case I'd never come around to your town.
Yeah.
And then this one's $75. I have no. Oh, okay. So I don't know how many we have. We only have a couple of these left. There's a friend of ours, Jen Van Damsel. She's like a cosplayer. She took a bunch of Polaroids as her on a tropical island as Jane and wearing next to nothing. And I think we offered 15 of these or something. I think we have a couple left.
Yeah.
But you get the 2 books. They're signed. And then the Polaroid signed as well. So that's kind of like for the real single guy, because otherwise your wife or girlfriend's going to yell at you for an hour.
Yeah. So there was 20 available. There's 5 left. So if you're watching this and you want it,
the photos are amazing. I'm trying to see if I...
I'll definitely have to hide this package from the wife if I get that one.
No, they burst into flame every hour. So they're in the office. Patrick has those. Yeah. But they're great. They're just great. She signs the Polaroids, and that's terrific.
Cool.
You know,
that's very cool.
And then we have so this is a $100 pledge. These books are made only to order. So if only 50 get ordered or 30 get ordered, that's all that exists in the world. And Amanda is doing these 2 adult covers on them. So she's doing 1 for each one. And she signs them. So you get these 2 books. Honestly, they usually get ordered 100. And that's all there is in the world. We print to, that's it. Let's see how many you printed so far. So there's 47. If by the end of the campaign, it goes up to 50 or 60, whatever it may be. That's all that's printed. Don't blame me and don't ask me for any more. Just like the Adam Hughes covers. Don't try to shake me down at cons. It's not my fault. They're $1,200.
Yeah.
That's not my fault. I sold them for 60 at the time each. Yeah. So these are hey Doug, I just saw Doug this past weekend. But anyway, so these are for real collectors. I know the CGC guys love these books because they CGC notes that how many are made too. So it's kind of like a collector's thing. And if you like Amanda's covers, then they're in there. Now they are available as the big set too. So you can. So if we scroll down a little further,
definitely Amanda's covers are absolutely amazing. That's for sure.
Power Girl, yeah. And so that is you get all of the books, the Amanda covers signed by Amanda, and the regular books, and that's $125. That covers all the books we have pretty much. Mixed book. I don't know what that one is. Was that
the difference is you're signing these ones with Amanda.
Right. Amanda signed those, and then Amanda and I signed all of them. that's for diehards. You know, that's for
Yep.
people that want them signed or not. You could also buy them regular unsigned and try to find me at a con, and I'll sign them for you. So mystery box. So this is you get all 4 of the books.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we fill one of those post office boxes with stuff. It's usually old comics, things I got at conventions, sometimes T-shirts, sometimes DVDs, movies, music. I put so much weird shit in these boxes, and I make sure it's worth a hell of a lot more than $200. I put some old comics in once in a while, and I'll find stuff that I have one of a kind of that somebody gave me. I'll pop them in there, you know. There's a $200 box and there's a $300 one. Everyone seems to go for the $300 one in this, and I think we sold a lot of them. I don't know how many.
Yeah, there's 5 left of 20, so you only have
so
20 of these ones, and you already sold 15.
A lot of them are the people that got them before, because I like what I put in the boxes. Because I go through my old comics, I throw a bunch in each one. I kind of make it so it's worth double what I'm selling it for, right? That's so I can feel okay about it, because I feel like I don't like the mystery boxes where it's like, oh, look, it's one of 30. You know, I like it. And also I usually throw drawings or something in it. There's always some weird stuff in it. What's really fun is when people get them and they open them up on videos and they pull stuff out. Or one guy did like a Pink Floyd movie where he took everything in it and laid it on the floor and then took a picture of it. You know, we do these because people ask us to do these. They love this stuff. The only thing is, it kills me doing them, because I literally have these boxes open in my house, and every time I'm around, I throw another thing in it. And the great thing is the post office is like, they don't care how heavy it is as long as it's in that box.
Oh, okay.
So I pack them up, and sometimes they weigh like 30 pounds. These freaking things are heavy. It depends what I put in them, and no, I don't put bowling balls in them, but I do put some crazy stuff I've gotten over the years. And artwork, signed books, limited books, old comics. I had a lot of movies in the last one. I had DVDs, and I had a lot of music, and
like Painkiller season 1 was in there, maybe.
Maybe I put in the stuff that I like, right? So it's all stuff I bought. If you look at the wall behind me, as you can see, I have a lot of crap. So and that's pretty much it. It's just that's the Kickstarter. It's going for a couple more weeks. This one's slow moving. We're almost at the goal. You know. We'll get there.
I mean, I could go to the very top real quick. The goal, you're what?
We got to get to 38.
Yeah, $3,000 away. So, and you got 22 days. This is 30 days, right? So you're only 8 days in. So
we're 8 days in. We're feeling good. We're feeling good, but we still need the people. I usually get around 1,000 backers per Kickstarter in that ballpark. We're almost at the halfway point. So I'm always trying to figure out what is it about this one that's not moving as well as the last one. I'm always trying to overthink it. And I think because the title says Paper Films Team Up instead of Painkiller Jane, might be it. But whatever. Being on your show,
I believe, Jimmy, can't you? Paul, you could still change it, right? If you needed to, if you feel like that's it, or
I think once you put the title on. But here's the thing, right? I'm doing your show. Maybe a couple people back it.
Well, there's a couple other podcasts here. You got K-Pop, who has an awesome podcast that brings on a lot of Kickstarters. You got Will from Creators Outlet. Paul has a show that he does. So there's quite a few, Jimmy, that will help you.
Well, offer them up to me. Let me know about them. I'd love to do them. I actually have to run.
Okay, no problem, Jimmy. The link is in the comments. Get over there, back it right now. I've already backed. You should back too. Jimmy, I always love having you on. I'll be in touch because we still need to go over the first 5 issues of Deadly Tales of Gunslinger with Mark and Ty.
When issue 5 is out, we'll do that. And then I'll have some other stuff to tell you, because I'm sitting on some stuff that I think I need a couple more weeks, and they'll let me talk about it. So
nice.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, man. Well, it's great. Thank you both for your time and letting me show this off here. And again, I really appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Jimmy, always enjoy seeing you. Sorry, Paul.
All right, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon.
See you, Jimmy. Sweet, man. Well, there he is, Jimmy Palmiotti, the man. He's done everything. New 52. That's when GI Zombie came out with Jimmy. I think, like you said, 8 issues. Also, he did Jonah Hex which was awesome. That was part of the New 52 too. I had it.
Yeah, that was my first ever Jonah Hex book.
Is it really?
Yeah, that was my first. Like I said, I was born through the New 52.
Yeah,
Next time I'll tell them more. I'll tell them more.
Yeah, I got a couple of these ones. So I forgot it the last time I saw Jimmy to get him signed. So I need to get
Right, it was
signed.
All-Star Western, I think it was called. All-Star Western.
Yeah. When it first started, I have that too. But it's put away in my CGC box because that one's a little more expensive. But yeah, man, this is awesome. A lot of people don't realize Painkiller Jane actually had a TV series in 2007. They did one season and it was pretty fun. So you could watch it for free on Tubi or you could pay $1.99 on Amazon. But while we're together, man, this isn't the only Kickstarter going. Paul has Project Now Assist. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's go ahead and go over that since we're together.
Yeah, episode 6. We are live. Jimmy's at 35. I'm at 3, and we're rolling. You know,
you're so close, Paul. You're so close, bro. You're so close.
Like I said, I actually never met him at a convention, and when we are at the same convention, his lines are usually massive. You know what I mean? So which is cool. But now since he knows the face, now I get to cut the line. So
he called you baby face, man. That's I think a good thing, bro.
Yeah, I'm young. Yeah. If I shave, I look 5 years younger. And then, we're getting there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, everyone that's still on, man, check it out. Head over to Kickstarter. I'll put the link right now in the chat. But Mr. Paul has episode 6, which is live right now. Head over there and back it. If you want an action-packed comic book, tons of action, tons of blood, tons of guts, tons of everything that you want in a comic book, man. This is the comic for you. I've loved it, and I think you will too. And you could, if your first time with Project Now Assist, there's all kinds of ways to catch up on this Kickstarter as well. He's 2 backers away from 100. Let's help him get to 100. But man, at least you hit your goal. Now we just need to go past that because everyone knows it costs more than $3,000 to make a comic book. That is for sure.
Yeah. 10,000 is really where we want to get. And it's so funny. It is the truth. Like Jimmy said, like it's 1,000, you got 1,000 people, you're hitting. And, I think he's at a great spot. I think I'm at a great spot. And, I'm excited to see. And personally, there's not too many Kickstarters on there, that are like, I feel like maybe 1 or 2 others look like they're popping, but excluding that, I'm here, I'm ready. And we got a lot of stuff coming, and we need to get to that 10K spot if you're looking for episode 7 sooner than later, because then we'll start right into the next one. But I'm super, super grateful. And I keep forgetting we didn't post it yet. So technically,
tomorrow's. Yeah, that's a good point, Paul. So tomorrow, everybody, my interview with Paul will go live. And again, all the links will be shared, but I do have it here. If you haven't seen this yet, head over there, check it out. It's phenomenal, man. It's definitely at the top of the list of indie creators. You kill it, man. And you've been super consistent. You work really fast, and the work that you put out is it's Marvel DC level stuff. So if you want a really high end, awesome title, Project Now Assist is definitely the one that you should have in your box and you should be reading, man. So congratulations on that, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm ready to have a phenomenal next 20-something days, and then we got WonderCon this week, and then we go from there. But I'm looking to make an impact, and I'm happy we did this stream. This was good. I feel like we did well together. So
absolutely, man. No, it was definitely very easy to have a conversation with you on too, man. So I appreciate it, man. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out today, man. Get over to Project Now Assist over on Kickstarter. And of course, make sure you're backing Jimmy with Painkiller Jane and GI Zombie. I think you're going to absolutely love it. And until next time, man, thank you everybody for joining. Appreciate you. And we'll talk soon.